all of my time was really spent going to see shows. Like when I was very little, I saw Leslie Uggams in the national tour of West Side Story playing Maria. And so then I would go home and I would take the batteries, the C batteries, and I would set them up as the sharks and the jets, and I would reenact those moments. My name is Michael McElroy, and I'm the artistic director and founder of Broadway Inspirational Voices, and we are receiving the 2019 Tony Honor for Excellence in Theater. I saw Lillias White in The Wiz play Dorothy when she was in her late teens, early 20s. And then I would go home and I would reenact those moments. And so I lived in the seeing of the theater and then trying to find ways to hold on to it. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, in a suburb called Shaker Heights, the most livable city. I was surrounded by music. My mom was a musician, a pianist, my grandmother, my sister, my brother, my uncle, and I grew up in my grandfather's church. So I grew up playing and singing in the choirs at church, but also had an uncle who loved theater. My uncle would come to town every summer and he would musical direct shows. And so he would take me to the rehearsals and he would take me to the performances. And I had a lot of energy when I was little. And the theater, it was the only place where when those lights went down, I didn't move. And I could just be there all day, every day if he would let me. Music was like, between the gospel music and the musical theater and the R&B of the 60s and 70s, where my mom used to host like card parties, and everybody looked so fabulous in their dashikis and afros, and they'd come over and smoke cool cigarettes and play, bid whist or whatever they played. But I was just surrounded by great music. I was always taken to see national tours of shows that came into our city. And the first one I remember seeing was Porgy and Bess. And I think I was 8 years old. And I remember very, very clearly in that moment seeing people who looked like me on stage and making the connection of that's something that I can do and it's something that I want to do. And so it took me a while because I loved music so much and I loved theater to figure out which path I wanted to go. But I just loved the community of what theater was and what it had the ability to do, how it had the ability to transform, how it had the ability to make me feel something. And make me feel less alone with who I was in the environment where I was. It started, out of something very painful, out of the AIDS crisis and coming here and having friends who were passing away and wanting to do something that was inspirational and what I knew was gospel music. Besides representing a diverse group of performers that represent different beliefs, racial identities, sexual identities, that's a big part of when I started in 1994, that we look like a community of many different backgrounds. We felt it was important that we give back to the community, to the next generation of artists. We all recognized as a community of actors, of singers, we realized that we were where we are because there were mentors and teachers and programs where someone saw something in us and said, I see you, I see something that you have and I want to cultivate it. I want to challenge you. I want to mentor you. So it's important to us to be in spaces where there are underserved populations, where there are young people who are dealing with circumstances that are sometimes dire, to let them know that there's support and also to cultivate that spark that may be in them.